Whilst the world is hell-bent on pushing us all into electric cars, Lexus not so much. So I've borrowed one of Lexus's 7 non-electric models to prove that the world of cars isn't as over as you might have thought.
This 350h is a self-charging hybrid, which you don't plug in, no range anxiety and not hideously expensive. Drive a Lexus and be cocooned from all the noise of the outside world.
Someone who drives a Lexus is basically saying, I don't want to compete with you, mate. I'm not interested. You can carry on. I've got nothing to prove. What is the Instagram?
It costs less than, well, pretty much anything, arguably has more to offer, and is made by the politest people in the world who bow a lot. And for this money, they can bow at me as much as they like.
44 grand is still a considerable amount for a car. However, what sort of car will you get for 44 grand with this amount of love and attention gone into it? It's all made by hand. Somewhere in the world, there's a little man and he's stitching all these bits of... He might not be little, but he might not be a man.
Lexus' attention to detail is still meticulous. The NX is therapy on wheels. Forget the stress, take a drive. Let your fears and worries slip away. Aww. Who needs CBT when a car can help you clear your mind? Not that CBT, no, the other one.
Do you know what else they do? To tune this engine, they use a stethoscope. They use a stethoscope in there, and the Takumi engineers have to spend 60,000 hours before they are qualified to sign off your Lexus. Oh, I'll find something. In fact, that...
Even the bottom of the range has adaptive cruise and acoustic glass at the front and on the sides. They have new maps and a new interface, and of course, the feature you might rarely use, but it is very good to have.
Hey Lexus.
What do you want to do?
Clean my windscreen.
Sorry, this feature is not available at the moment.
It would be available for you.
For safety, there are a lot of beeps in the NX. Most of them you can turn off, and naturally they have kept as many switches and buttons to remind you you're driving a car. Mostly silent driving until the 2.5-litre engine smoothly comes on, giving you 241 horsepower. It's a 4-cylinder, which almost feels like a 6. You know, that's the stethoscope again.
Quick correction and an apology. I did say that the Lexus NX has run flats on it. That's not actually the case. It's an option on the Lexus nowadays, which if you like run flats, that's great. If you don't, brilliant. These are actually the smallest wheels known to man. In fact, there's no other moving object which has smaller wheels than this. Anyway, what I was about to say was, if you had the correct tyres on this, it would be the quietest car in the world, because it is already very quiet. And these are Bridgestones.
Lexus also use Michelin. The Primacy 4 Acoustic is by far my favourite choice at the moment. I'd be interested to get your thoughts on what you use. The NX cars all come with a 10-year warranty, everyone knows that, provided you get it serviced by them. And of course you would, because no other independent garage have any appointments until 2037. It's a massive testament to the love and care they put into making this ownership stress-free.
Not only that, but the next buyer, if you have this for say 4 years, the next buyer also gets the warranty as well, which is good. Anyway, is it any good? Yes. So for 2 things really, or for a number of things actually, but the main 2 that strike me: one, if you want to just saunter about everywhere, just want to just loll about, and number 2, if you want to shut the world out. What they all come with is proactive driving assist. It's a Lexus thing. It does a number of things, 2 of which are very interesting. One, if you are driving along at night and it senses an object, even at night, it will swerve out of the way if there's an object in the road. I don't know, someone's bin or something. And number 2, if you're going too fast and you're approaching a corner, the car knows that's too fast for that corner and slows down a bit.
The car weighs 2,380 kilograms, which is the same, believe it or not, as a Model 3 Performance. And interestingly, it feels much heavier than one of those, and heavier than the last NX. It's all to do with the centre of gravity, I think, for the Model 3. Anyway, it's not a deal breaker, but if you are aware of its weight, my job is done.
Little turnaround, which I know he's very repetitive, that bloke, and all he does is do little turnarounds. Now, well, you get to see the car and the wheels turning, but also you can see the backup camera here. So if you press this, you've got these guidelines that you can have on or off. More beeps, and then you can see around. Is it the most? It's not the greatest resolution, is it? But what do you need? What else do you need? They have designed the front passenger seat to be completely its own thing. It's supposed to be like a lounge. In other words, this is your area and that is the driver's area. I mean, it's very comfortable, but I think that's a bit of a stretch. Interestingly though, these seats are designed in a very special way, almost medically in a way, because these are supposed to work with your spine and your head. So the idea being that as you go along, not so much of your head is moving because your spine is flat, and it's like a spider web design. They don't just throw these things together, you know.
Let's have a wager. Find me a Lexus that rattles or starts falling to bits, I'll be very surprised. I even rate this old one, although now I would be concerned about the hybrid battery, although I have seen them on eBay for £1,500. So that's not the end of the world either.
Yeah, that is very good. So we've established that this is kind of number one for luxury. This is the kind of vibe this car is I might have money. From Lexus at the moment, you can get 3.9% APR, which is very competitive compared to what's going on at the moment. But to get £300 a month odd, you're going to need to put in something like £10,000 or £12,000 as your deposit. Do you then get an X demo? Maybe, because it's cheaper. The problem with the PCP is that the residuals on these are quite low. But then with the X demo, you've got 8.9% APR, which is something else to consider. But it's going to last you though, isn't it? It lasts longer than you, this.
A quick look on confused.com, which I found to be the cheapest, shows the NX to be £465 to insure for me, making it one of the cheapest cars in its class to insure. And for servicing, £355 to £670 is not cheap, but you can spread the payments. And remember that 10-year warranty. You're kind of paying for it. Tax, unfortunately, in the UK is still £600 a year. Why? Because you worked hard.
Money aside, you can't really put a price on peace of mind. And in this world we live in, it's always good to have one less thing to worry about. And this won't be one of them.